So, hello and welcome to another one of these monthly lives that I do with Ukrainian teachers of English. As you probably know, today is a kind of particularly heavy day to be doing this in a sense, because tomorrow is February the 24th, which marks the third anniversary of Russia's brutal full-scale invasion of Ukraine. You may have seen the mafia boss in the White House, Donald Trump, trying to gaslight people into believing that President Putin wants peace. As any Ukrainian who's still in Ukraine at the moment will tell you, what happened last night was Putin sent his little metal peace doves, the drones, in the biggest drone attack since the start of the full-scale invasion, to attack Ukraine on the anniversary of the third anniversary of the full-scale invasion. So, that's their idea of peace. It's very Orwellian, peace is war, slavery is freedom is slavery, all that kind of stuff. And, just in case it's not obvious to anyone, Russia could achieve peace tomorrow by pulling its troops the fuck out of Ukraine. So today, I'm very, very flattered, very honoured to be joined by a teacher called Tanya. I can see you there, Tanya. I'll let you join in 1 minute. Give me a second just to do my preamble, okay? Tanya is in Kharkiv, a city I'm actually going to be visiting next month, 20 miles from the Russian front line, and from the Russian border, rather, sorry. And, a city that both in 2014, during the initial attempts to occupy parts of Ukraine, and since the full-scale invasion of 2022, has continued to resist Russian aggression, often at great cost to the city and to its citizens, but which still continues to prevail and even thrive in some ways. So I'm going to just see if I can add Tanya. Hi everyone who's joining me. Thank you very much. Let me see if I can do that. 1 second. Here's hoping. I know this is Tanya's first live, so she's a bit worried about how we do all of this. Let's see. Hey.
Hey, hello.
Hello. Let me just turn my volume up. How are you?
Um, Pretty fine given all the circumstances. I would say pretty fine.
Yeah. How was it last night? Was Kharkiv under a drone attack again, or?
That is a permanent thing for us actually. So basically, yes, it's stupid, but sometimes we just stop paying attention to that because we have a lot of things to do and we try kind of live our lives.
Yeah, I don't think that's stupid at all. I think that's a kind of very sensible way of trying to survive with the sleep deprivation and the alarms and all of that. Yeah.
Stupid in terms of safety, like I live 2 minutes near the underground station, but I'm not going there.
Oh, not sure what happened there. 1 second. I'm guessing Tanya will rejoin. As you can imagine, the internet can sometimes be a bit shaky in Ukraine. Although having said that, it can also be a bit shaky in London. So, I'm hoping I say hoping, I'm guessing it's her end rather than my end. Let me just see if I can re-add her. Let's just wait a minute and see what's happening there. Yeah, bear with me. Gives me a chance to drink some tea. Yeah, let's try again. Okay, I think that should work. Let's see. Hey, you're back again.
Yeah. That is a strange thing, actually. I don't know. During lessons, I don't have those kind of problems.
I can't answer why that's happening. Yeah. Yeah, so let's just kind of rewind a little bit, Tanya, if that's
Mhm.
okay with you. Do you want
Yeah.
to just say a bit more about who you are, about your family, your background, your
So
upbringing, all that?
so people say that I'm pretty interesting person because actually my degree is not an English teaching or something degree. By my degree, actually, I'm a pharmacist and I'm a PhD in pharmacy.
Okay.
But
Where did it all go wrong?
um, I think that somewhere during the university years, my life just like, formed two ways which are parallel. And on one way, I'm pharmacist, I'm a scientist, I'm doing research, and now I'm an acting director of a company. And we also do scientific, at least we try as we can in Kharkiv, because for scientists it's also a tricky situation. Like people say, okay, you are constantly bombed, so like we will maybe wait, yeah, to make a contract with you for some research. So
Yeah.
but we try. And the other way put me in English somehow. So at first, at university years, that was, like earning at least some money, yeah, to to I don't know, to have them. Yeah, all students need money, even though I had a scholarship. So basically, I had money, but people want more. And later it was going because, sad but truth, our universities and governmental, state institutions, they can't pay, let's say, normal amount of money to scientists, teachers. So you need some income outside your job.
Yeah.
So that
I,
continued, and I'm here. So, and it became pretty good during the COVID, yeah, because it was tricky situations, a situation at university, but later I passed an exam. I had only English pharmacy students at university, but in 2023 I quit. So, and I'm working in private company now,
and
but still teaching
and
English.
you-
Yeah, like hobby, which gives some profits.
and you're still doing both things. You're still doing English teaching and working in the pharmaceutical kind of arena.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I'm more involved in clinical research. Um, fingers crossed the project will be what we hope it to be, but why not to have different hobbies,
Yeah.
especially the
No, it's great.
market.
I believe you have what's now called a portfolio career, uh,
Maybe.
which basically means you just have to do 3 or 4 different things to kind of survive. But
Okay,
you know,
actually, I have three jobs, yeah, if
what's
count
the
the
third
English
one?
teaching. So I'm an acting director of a private small pharmaceutical company,
Mm.
but it's hard times for the company because, it's Kharkiv-based one, and we try to launch from recent educational project for doctors, but again, it's hard to launch something from scratch.
Yeah,
So, and especially
and
given the times.
when you were doing your initial studies, like into pharmacy and stuff, did you need English for that as well?
Uh, of course, because actually my PhD was in the field of clinical research, and Ukraine isn't a leader, but the USA and European Union, they are leaders, and we followed FDA, EMA requirements actually to bring them to Ukraine. So most of my sources were actually in English. So yeah, that was really helpful.
And how did you learn your English in the first place? Like, how did you get into English? What's your kind of
Um,
entry point and your experience of learning it?
so actually, I think that started with parents because maybe they knew something. So at school, in our first grade, which wasn't really typical for that time, they asked school to make a special class, yeah, once a week, but something like so we can start learning English. And later, starting, I think from the fifth or seventh grade, I had a tutor, and later English was one of the exam that I was taking to enter the university. That wasn't for my main goal, but to have some options, I had to pass English test too.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And can we sort of rewind even further from there and just tell us a bit more about your parents and your family and all of that?
Um, So my parents actually they don't know English. They tried, they really tried, but every time they wind up at place, our children know English, so we will
Yeah.
ask children.
Yeah. It's common.
Even when they go to the US, my brother he moved something like almost 10 years, I think now. He moved to the US for his PhD study, and now he has contract there, so he lives in Pittsburgh. And when they go to visit him, they somehow ask him to translate something, or magically they find people who know Russian. Yes, that's not the good option. We don't like it anymore, but somehow they manage, yeah, to move around, not knowing, like, hmm, let's say, even they don't have even B1 or high
Yeah.
U.
I
So somehow they
mean,
manage to find their way around.
living in London, I see this all the time where the parents are kind of pushing children forward and saying, you know, go and sort out this thing that we need to sort out. And the kids are like, my dad wants to know, you know, I see it all the time with different people from different backgrounds and things. So it's quite common. And you said you were born in Kharkiv and you grew up there, yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
For people who don't know Ukraine and don't know Kharkiv, do you want to just maybe say a bit more about the city and what it's
So,
like? And
uh, I would say I will tell you a bit about Kharkiv, like what it was before. Yeah. So first of all, it was built as an industrial city. We had lots of factories producing everything. Yeah, because in Soviet times, the eastern part of Ukraine was considered as a place to put all those
yeah,
factories, yeah, to produce everything for everywhere. The same with Donbas region, yeah,
yeah,
that it will be with factories because there are resources. We're close to those resources, yeah, so it seemed a pretty natural thing to start making the city as an industrial, to grow it. The city is pretty old, and actually, after 2000, I would say the focus shifted to university students because we actually became one of the most popular cities for international students
yeah,
in Ukraine. So,
yeah.
a lot of Indian, Turkish, from Africa, like all over Africa, even at university where I taught. We had students from Madagascar when I was a student myself.
Yeah.
So that was pretty interesting. So we had, maybe we didn't have students from Japan or China, yeah, like far Asia, but a lot of Asian countries, especially Caucasian
Yeah,
countries, of course, not European countries, because for them, our education is not, well, let's be honest, interesting. Yeah. But other countries, yeah, they considered us pretty great. So the focus shifted to students, and of course, a lot of infrastructure changed, yeah, shifted for comfort of students. So parks, different stadiums, sport complexes, um, even public transport. They launched some new routes. Yeah, to we have universities which are not at the same building, and you need to move around the city. So They launched some routes, I mean, the public transport to connect those points so the students can go from their hostels to classes back or from one class to another, because medical and pharmaceutical students did that a lot. Every day you had classes at least in 2 places around the city. So we moved a lot. And later we had really great sport, I would say, complexes, because it was tennis, snow kinds of sports, different. We even hosted Euro 2012.
Yeah, I remember some of the games were in Kharkiv. Yeah.
I was even dancing in the match ceremonies at our stadium,
Oh,
because
really?
yeah,
Okay.
and in the main square, because at those times I was a dancer too. Yeah, still, yet, or so yeah, well, it was a fun time because it was, yes, industrial, yes, a lot of students, but still it it had, I don't know, it had vibe, like inspiration maybe, to do something. Later in 2014, we started to have less fun
Yeah.
uh,
I was going to
because
ask you
of
to move on to 2014. So
so we started having less fun because we're close to the Donbass area, so a lot of things were prohibited, yeah, considering safety of people here. We The fireworks, for example, are prohibited from 2014.
yeah.
So
And there was an attempt in 2014 to basically take Kharkiv as well. Yeah. To kind of
yeah,
create a Kharkiv People's Republic.
yes, and it was actually these days, because today or yesterday, it is the dates where those protests took
Yeah.
place. Yeah, there were some casualties, even children who were fans. Okay, our nationalists, yeah, people who were fighting those days, mostly they were football
Yeah.
fans because they were
What was
grouped.
it? Is it Metalisk? Metallurg? What is it up
Yeah,
there? Metalisk.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and this kid, he was also a fan of that football team, and now one of the schools where he studied, named after him. And we were lucky to not, yeah, fall into that pit.
Well, why do you think Kharkiv managed to avoid that when, say, Donetsk or Lugansk didn't?
I think because of actually students. So the city was
Mm.
1.5 million people, and something like 3 to 500,000, those were
Yeah.
students. Of course, not only from Kharkiv, not only those who thought that we should be a part of Russia or something like that, because actually Kharkiv is a pretty big part of Ukrainian history too,
Yeah.
because a lot of the theater, the
Used to be the
culture,
capital at some point. Yeah.
yes, used to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was artificial thing, but not natural, but culturally, a lot of people
Yeah.
came here, and a lot of, I would say, nationalist or revolutionary ideas also came from here. Yeah. Um, but we forgot about that, because that thing when the Soviet government made Kharkiv the capital of Ukraine, it kind of erased, yeah, they tried to hide something behind that.
Yeah.
And that curtain played not really great thing with us, with our minds, and with the memory of history, actually.
Yeah. I'm interested in, like, so when you were at school, what kind of history were you learning about Ukraine yourself?
Um, Actually, as I graduated in 2010,
Okay.
it was before everything, yeah. Um, but we learned, yeah, that the capital of Ukraine for Kharkiv was a great, but we were taught that it was first capital of Ukraine without the word first
Yeah.
Soviet, yeah. So yeah, a
Yeah.
bit shifted history, but pretty close to what it actually was, at least in my school.
Yeah.
Because I found out that actually, even though we had all the same books, but how teachers taught different
Yeah.
children was sometimes pretty opposite.
Yeah. 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 I'm sure.
And I found out that pretty recently discussing with someone, just schools, yeah, like, and the person said, "Oh, you know, at school we were taught," and I said, "Stop! Like, I was at school pretty at the same time as you, but no, it happened not like that." So,
Different emphasis. Yeah. And did you go to a Russian language medium school? Like, was your education in Russian or?
okay. Actually, I was the last class which was studying in Russian in my school.
Wow.
Because at the same year, my brother also entered the same school, but they were a year younger, and it was like two parallels of classes with different curriculums, but they all were taught in
Yeah.
Ukrainian, everything. And from my parallel, we had three classes. Only mine was like Russian speaking. Two rest, they were Ukrainian
Okay.
classes. So it was in my school. Seems like we can't be sure what happened at the rest of the schools, but
Yeah. Yeah.
our parents asked us to have like one more language.
And when you were growing up at home, were you from a Russian-speaking family?
Yes, of
Yeah.
course. Actually, Kharkiv was pretty Russian
Yeah.
speaking before 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even now, not all people are speaking Ukrainian,
Yeah.
which is sad, which is upsetting because sometimes the reasons for that are like, I see no difference. And that's what can play later. Pretty sad thing, as we found out, yeah, after 2014, after 2022.
Yeah.
So whereas there is indifference in thinking, that is pretty bad.
It leaves you kind of weak and open. Yeah.
Yes, and you're open to the people who are talking louder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe not truth, but louder.
Yeah. I mean, I know stories from people in the UK of Russian speakers who've been living in the UK, from Russia in this instance, but who've been living in the UK for years and years and years and years, often married to English people, but still consuming information through the Russian information space, the Russian language information space. And, you know, even after like 20 years in England, still kind of having these belief systems which have been created through the Russian information space. So I think it's also just recognizing that the language is part of the weapon, you know, and that being in that information space allows you to be influenced by those kind of ideas and all of that. So, and so from 2014 to 2022, how was it? What was it like? Because the front line was what, sort of somewhere off in Donbass, not not
Yeah,
not a million miles away from Kharkiv.
not a million, even so. I think a lot of people heard about the city called Bakhmut,
Yeah,
which is in the next region,
yeah,
but it was a peaceful, kind of peaceful city because when you visited it, you still could hear um, something from the front
yeah,
line. Yeah, you were not sure what was that, but you were at least aware. So it is like 150
Yeah,
kilometers, if
it's
I'm not mistaken, from
not far.
Kharkiv. Uh, for army, it's not really far, especially given now the circumstances. We know the range for different rockets. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were actually lucky not to have any attacks on Kharkiv in 2014. But the feeling of safety, I would say that it decreased a lot, at least for me, because you
Before
knew,
2022.
yes,
Yeah.
before in 2014 when everything started, yeah, it was pretty active. Um, well, I could call it war zone in Donbass regions, yeah, in
Yeah.
Donetsk region and Lugansk region, and um, there was a fear that they might come for us,
Yeah.
neighbors.
Yeah.
So, and it was also winter, and sometimes winter in Ukraine lasts till the end of March. So you have snow in March in the streets. And it was a strange situation when it's gray everything in the streets, snow, no sun, and there is like, some fear in the air. Yeah, the air is not so light as it was before.
Yeah. I ask because I mean I was last in Kharkiv in 2019, I think, and it's probably naive of me to say this, but at the time, I don't think I even registered that I was 150 or 200 miles from a front line. You know, it was like it just seemed like a big, interesting, normal city to me, and really enjoyed being there. Met lots of great people there. Um, but I didn't have that sense of it being close to a war zone. Do you know what I mean? And so I don't know if that's just me not seeing it and not feeling it because I'm not living there and I'm not in the space, or whether for people who were living there, it was kind of life more or less continued as usual.
I would say that life was usual actually, because um, if you weren't involved in all that, like you didn't have any relatives in the Donetsk or Lugansk region, if you haven't volunteered or you weren't involved in any kind of help
Yeah,
to the front line or to everything, yeah, what started to happen in our country. So people forgot pretty
yeah,
fast, even here in Kharkiv. And we were living like really normal life. Yes, without fireworks, but we had the rest of normal life.
yeah,
Airports, 1 hour and a half from Europe flight. Yeah, yeah. That
yeah,
was a normal life, even like flying from Kharkiv to Georgia. Before that it happened, yeah, through Donetsk and Luhansk region,
yeah,
and later we just had the longer commute because, yeah, they were, I don't know, circling, yeah, around those
yeah,
regions, but still going to Georgia. So the inconvenience was
yeah.
minimal after like half a year, yeah, I would say from 2015. It was pretty normal life.
Okay. It wasn't just me being unobservant then. That's good.
Yeah,
And so tomorrow, as I was saying right at the beginning, is the third anniversary of the full-scale invasion. If it's okay with you, can I ask you about your memories or your experiences of February 24th,
uh,
2022?
that was actually pretty funny because I think I was the person who overslept the beginning of the full-scale war.
Okay.
Because I woke up at that time I was renting an apartment, something like 10, okay, 10, 15 kilometers from the city entrance. Um, and basically, I didn't hear the bombing of the um, military airport in Kharkiv region, which was heard from that direction by my parents. They live closer to the city entrance. And I didn't hear bombing of our airport because it also was something like 10, 10 kilometers from me. So I was sleeping because I had the early class with my international students and I had to be at university at 8 a.m. So I was trying to get most of my sleep. And my best friend called me something like at 6 a.m. or 5:30 and asked me, "Are you sleeping?" With some, swear words, of course. Um, are you sleeping? The war had started, and I said, "Come on, are you crazy? Were you drinking yesterday?" And then she said, "Come on, like open the window, listen up." Um, I listened, but it was, still pretty far. Yeah, the bombing was still in process, but to my apartment, it was pretty far, and my area wasn't affected. Um, so that was the moment when I suddenly woke up. I didn't know what to do because the whole months we were joking at my department at university that, okay, can you give us the schedule of the invasions for February? Because there were different dates like the 5th, the 14th, the
Yeah,
10th.
lots of rumors. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and each time it hadn't happened. So, okay, give us the list, please. We will just notice where we should be prepared, what should we do, and etc. So I didn't have anything prepared actually. I started with maybe packing my documents, all my diplomas, all.
You didn't go and teach the 8 o'clock class.
No, because we had, from COVID times, we had the chat of our department. So the head teacher sent us the letter from the rector who said, okay, we moved to online classes like we had in COVID. That was 7 a.m. By 7:30 or something, it was um, something like wait for updates or something
Yeah.
like that. So
Okay.
so there was a pause on studying, teaching, whatever happened at university. But my students, they were kind of also in panic. Teacher, do we have class? They didn't ask me or tell me that they're leaving. They asked, okay, should we be present at class? That was
So
the
those
fun.
are those are some serious students you've got there. Yeah.
Yes, they were the graduating. That was the graduating year. So yeah, they were pretty serious because actually, I had students of the third, fourth, and fifth year. Fifth is the graduating for them, and the students of the third and the fourth year, starting from the something like 5th of February, they just left the country because they received letters, official letters from their countries' representatives that they should leave the country
Yeah.
because of the safety things. And when I first entered the class and there were only 3 students, I was pretty surprised, okay, what happened? They explained to me that, so 2 weeks, for 2 weeks before, actually 2020, before 24th of February, I had that thing with 2 or 3 students in class. So.
And so, what was your immediate response on the 24th? You wake up, you realise there's no work, you realise they're bombing Kharkiv.
The
What do
whole
you
day
do?
I was, that is fun because the whole day on the 24th, I was watching Netflix. I was waiting, like, what will happen? You know, when you don't have plan and you know that you're not leaving the city this day, I was just watching Netflix. When it started to get darker, I started thinking maybe I want to go to my parents' place to be like whole family together. So I took some things, documents, and like called taxi to go there. So, but nothing really changed because we continued watching Netflix on the fifth floor, which was the last floor of the building. Uh, and we heard some fights which were ongoing actually at the city entrance, which was 7 kilometers or something like that from their house. What else? We saw some fires when there was the bombing from planes. They actually went above the Kharkiv. They were bombing the city center, different infrastructure, including the heating, electricity.
Yeah.
And they were doing that not at the area where my parents live, but to go back, they need to do circle, and that circle was right above my parents' house. And one night we decided to sleep in the corridor. Remember, the last floor of the building. And the house
For
started.
the people who don't know, can you just say why you sleep in corridors sometimes?
Um, okay, those were only 2 nights because I think we're a bit crazy here. Because when the bomb or rocket explodes, theoretically, if you are behind two walls from the explosion, you might survive and not get injured.
Yeah.
But theoretically, because depends on how was your house built, and a lot of things should be taken into account.
Well, when I went
Uh,
over last year, they told me that like if you have to go to the shelter in the middle of the night and you need to put your trousers on or something, don't put your trousers on in front of the window, because if there's a blast, well, I mean, one, you don't want people outside seeing you, and they don't need to see that. But two, if there's a blast, it blows the glass inwards sometimes, and
yeah,
that there's a
and
risk of like kind of exploding glass coming towards you.
yeah,
So I
the glass,
guess
actually the walls too. The first wall might also be
just
broken after the
yeah,
explosion. So, and the second too, again, depends on the house where was
yeah,
the
okay,
explosion and everything.
yeah.
But
Sorry, I interrupted you. Anyway, you were sleeping in corridors.
yeah, on the last floor, our neighbors from like first floor, third, they went to the basement. They were sitting there. But we decided like, okay, if the house collapses, we will die anywhere. Anyway, like why to go to basement? We can be like somehow comfortable in the corridor.
So already in the early days of the full-scale invasion, you're making these kind of calculations in your brain, yeah?
Okay, I would call myself pretty logical person, and my parents are engineers, so like yes, we understand how physics works. So there is no chance, yeah, the fifth floor, the first floor. If it's the bomb that should kill you, it will kill you anyway.
So you become quite fatalistic about it, I guess, yeah? Yeah.
Yes, but that's how I think you adapt to the current situation because if you go to the metro station, yeah, every time you hear or you receive, a red alert, you will live there just in the underground.
Yeah, like never come out. Yeah. And was there any point at which you thought about leaving Kharkiv, Tanya?
Actually, we left.
You left. Okay.
Yeah, it was a week. Yeah, there was a week of negotiations inside our family because my mom, she wanted to leave because, yeah, of the planes above their house and everything.
That became a regular thing, the planes, yeah?
Yeah, at that time that was pretty regular. So
Yeah.
first week or two, they were bombing like right. Yeah, they didn't have that thing that they have now when they throw the bomb from the Russian territory and then it can fly to
Yeah.
Kharkiv. Yeah, they didn't have those at that time, so they had to come here. But later, when the planes started to be shut down, so they stopped doing that. But that was later. And there was like a pretty big negotiation inside the family because my grandfather, he also didn't want to leave. I wasn't a fatalist, but also I didn't feel like I want to leave. But something like on the 10th of March, it's almost 2 weeks from the start, or yeah, actually it's 2 weeks from the start. We decided to leave.
Okay.
Yeah, we decided to leave, but we didn't move pretty far. We moved to the our neighboring Poltava region, which
Okay.
is like something like 300 kilometers from Kharkiv, the city, I mean, where we were. So I packed everything from my rented apartment. That was a pretty interesting quest because constant bombing, shelling, different kind of danger, problems with fuel. So I had to be pretty economic, yeah, using the car
Yeah.
to
Was it
move
hard to get
out.
hold of petrol and stuff at that time, yeah?
Yeah, there was a problem because of the panic. Yeah, like first days, first week. Later, it it was better. Later, like in couple 3 weeks. Yeah, when just everyone understood that they somehow they need to construct new logistics or something.
Yeah.
So it became easier. So there was no problem. Everything was adapting, not so fast, yeah, as all needed. And moreover, people who had cars, they left through the first week, I would say, yeah.
Yeah.
There were huge traffic jams on the highways, even on highways. Yeah, so but we were leaving later, so we didn't have that problem. We were moving, yeah, without no, we stopped only at checkpoints, yeah.
Did you know people in the Poltava region?
It appeared that there is a strange relative thing in Ukraine when you have relatives everywhere. So it appeared that there is an empty house in Poltava region, which is empty for several years, and we might live there for some time,
Okay.
as long as we need, actually. And we lived there, what, something like half a year,
Okay.
actually, because in October we were back.
And how was it in the Poltava region? Was it much quieter?
Uh, Actually, it was normal life. No, okay. Yeah, there were raids because that happened to the whole country. But no shelling, no bombing, like nothing happened there. It was a small city, like 45,000 people. That's it. So just kind of village life as we called it,
Yeah.
because like million
After
and a half
Kharkiv.
and
Yeah, yeah.
40
Yeah, 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 yeah.
45,000. So we called it village life. But it was hard to adapt, like leaving your city
Yeah.
and you don't know what will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I
later,
can't imagine. I mean, I would need to be dragged out dead from London. I mean, I can't imagine leaving. It's just, it's a kind of unimaginable idea for me. It's
that was the one for me too, but
yeah,
it,
yeah.
uh,
And well,
mhm.
when did you? How did it affect your work, Tanya? When did you start working again?
So the university actually, after the COVID times, yeah, thanks to COVID, we had all those online teaching things, the platforms, where to put information, how students can get it, and Zoom, whatever. So everything was familiar to both to students, to teachers. So everything was ready actually. So, and we started teaching, I would say, in April.
Wow. And
And the academic year finished before the start of July.
and
Like
how
something
was
like
it? Like going back online with students who, I guess, a lot of people had moved all over the place, and
actually, it wasn't a real online because we just uploaded the tasks for
yeah, okay,
students. Because again, we didn't know where are they,
okay,
what are they doing, are they still moving, or they are at home or somewhere else in Europe, maybe, whatever. So we were uploading the tasks for them. We had the platform for that. They passed some tests. They had video lectures from
okay,
COVID times again. So if they wanted, they watched them. If they didn't, they didn't. And so we had something like short meetings with them, like for question answer sessions, because you can't learn pharmacology without a
yeah,
teacher. That is hard. So we were discussing something because again, pharmacists, they have lots of exams. Yeah, they didn't have them in 2022, but later in 2023, they had to pass it. Yeah, not on the third year, but the fourth year. So still they were learning if they wanted to get yeah, the degree, still planning that. I also had couple of students supervising for diplomas. So they had defense, they had state exams. So the June was kind of a hot month for us with all the defenses and exams for graduating students. But I think we managed to make it with the least possible effect.
and you said that after about 6 months, you all decided to go back to Kharkiv.
Actually, my grandfather decided in May that he wants to go back, and actually, I
Hardcore.
yes, because he has retired a long time ago, but he has or had, I don't know, the situation is pretty strange because he works or worked, yeah, like unknown, in library, and libraries in Kharkiv now are under the question. So and he said, I will be fired if I don't go back. So I drove him back here, spent here like several days, and then I drove back to Poltava region. He and his wife, so he wasn't alone.
Okay.
They were together in this crime because, again, we had debates about the safety. Is it safe to for them to go back here? And then, after the counteroffensive in September,
Yeah.
actually, the rest of us decided that okay, we're sick and tired of living village life. We don't want to stay here for another winter.
Just for people
Um,
who are watching who don't know, I know that in the autumn of 2022, there was a counter-offensive that cleared the Russian occupiers out of a large chunk of Kharkiv Oblast, yeah, the Kharkiv region, and kind of pushed them back. Yeah,
yeah, so
yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
no, yeah, that's okay. And so in the middle of October, we came back
And
here. And
how was it coming back? I mean, did you notice differences, or how did it
It
feel?
was pretty sad to see the not deserted, but not so many people as used to live here, of course. The destructions, the marks, even on the road, when you go, you see not holes, but some marks that assume there was shelling at that place.
Yeah.
So it was pretty sad, but then people started to come back more. I think the counteroffensive did the whole magic.
Yeah.
And then the winter 2022-2023 was filled with blackouts for the whole Ukraine.
Yeah.
But there is a secret that in Kharkiv, our services were restoring the power in something like half a day.
Yeah. How? It's like,
It's magic.
yeah,
We have
I heard this
magic
before
outside
from people.
Hogwarts. We have magic outside Hogwarts working, but the hardest time for us was end of March 2024, actually, with blackouts, because there was the shelling, I think something like 15 or something rockets, which can be
They're using the
overtaken.
glide bombs, basically, yeah?
No, those were like regular ballistic
Okay.
rockets. At that time, we didn't have that flying bomb problem yet. That came like a bit later.
Okay.
And they destroyed actually the whole generation of electricity for our city.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I
So
saw.
we had tough week before like getting more than several hours per day of electricity, I mean, at homes. And then like the whole April then was pretty hard too. But at least there was a schedule with hours, yeah, of electricity. Okay, here I can do something, here I can't do anything. So
And how do the blackouts and not having electricity affect you on a day-to-day basis? What kind of problems does that cause for you?
um, if we talk about winter 22-23, when yeah, the whole country was pretty tough, deep in blackouts. For Kharkiv, I would say it was more or less okay because of the magic. Yeah? We're a magical city. So the actually, I even taught classes almost regular. My students had more problems, so some groups had to be closed because of the blackouts. But um, our cafes started to buy generators.
Yeah.
They started to put some I don't know what kind of provider or something. So they had internet even where when they worked with the generator, yeah, not the general power supply. So more or less it was okay. The hours that you didn't have, yeah, the electricity supply you had for cleaning the house, reading a book,
Yeah.
just walking somewhere with friends for coffee. Yes, not working for business, maybe that was bad, but for me as a teacher, it was like okay, because according to my schedule, I had evening classes. And in the evening, most of the students also had power, so somehow we adapt our schedules. And sometimes we just did like voice lessons, yeah,
Yeah.
because they had the book, I have the book, and we just did like Zoom call, but only with voice,
Yeah.
yeah, to just to discuss what we had to discuss. Later, the whole city, I think. I mean, all cafes, restaurants, banks, everywhere there were generators. So March 2024 wasn't so bad because all people knew what to do.
Yeah.
The only
Okay.
problem was that it had to last for like a month. I was working from different cafes, but I really liked it because actually you go out to work. You
Yeah.
don't stay
Gets
at
you out the
home.
house. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have this reality like after COVID, yeah, all people, they were really happy to go back to
Yeah.
office. I didn't go back to office, but working from cafes, coffee shops, whatever, was also funnier than just staying at home.
I I forgot to ask earlier. I hope it's not too difficult a question. Did you have any family or any kind of friends before the full scale invasion on the other side of the border in Russia?
Actually, my father is from Russia. Like he was born there.
Yeah.
The nearest city to us, Belgorod, but he moved here for studying at university, and he just decided to stay here because he says that it's much more better here than there. But he has brother and his brother's family there. Um, and actually, since his parents died somewhere like in 2010 or 2014, like when everything started, he actually didn't go there like so often as he had before. Mm, and he didn't communicate with his brother a lot, but he received some calls from his brother, his former classmates, who were saying that, like, okay, wait for 2, 3 days, everything will be fine, we will live together, just hold on. So I was surprised with the amount and the form of the strong language he used to answer that. Because
I like
actually,
your dad already.
because he tries to be not to use it to yeah to express himself like with regular words,
Yeah.
yeah, but the constructions were pretty and his brother called him one more time maybe in May, and that's it, like no more contacts or
Yeah.
whatever. They didn't have like great communication, and there is nothing said, but we understood that there is nothing to talk about with them, even if the brother says like hold on. So
Yeah, it just seems, and no matter how many times I hear these stories, I still find it kind of terrifying that people can imagine that bombing their neighbours whilst telling them to hold on and be grateful that they'll soon be joined together with the people who are bombing them. I just find the psychology so insane. It's like
then they don't have critical thinking to analyze the situation. That what conclusion we have, the only conclusion we have, because the whole thing that happens on their television, we were spending summer there in the village with like grandparents when I was a kid. Yeah, not the whole summer, but like couple of weeks, and watching the TV or listening to the radio, there was a huge difference between their radio and the Ukrainian
yeah,
one, because it wasn't just an entertainment. Every time there was some kind of message, which is, yes, it's hidden.
yeah,
They just don't say, okay, you should do this thing or you should believe this thing, but all the time they are like, yeah, it's
yeah,
hidden, but it's
and
there.
it kind of just soaks into you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask just a couple of questions connected to things that have come up recently. I had a couple of comments today when I was posting about the demo I went on yesterday. There was a big demo yesterday outside the Russian embassy. Um, and yeah, tens of thousands of people down there. And I was posting about it earlier. And some guy was posting saying this war has to stop. This is between brotherly people who basically speak the same language. So I wondered how do you feel as a, originally a Russian speaking Ukrainian who had family in Russia, when you hear people describe you as kind of brotherly peoples who more or less share the same culture or the same language?
Uh, Even though almost the whole life I've spoken Russian, I've never thought that I'm the same as them. I had a clear understanding that we're two different nations. They have something which is pretty strange to us. Even when I was a kid, a lot of things seemed strange to me when we visited. Yeah. Yes, maybe there is a nice facade for a lot of things there, but it's really messy. And actually, to be honest, at school I was really bad at history. I didn't like it, but I think it was just because of the way it was taught to us. And now I'm pretty interested in watching different documentaries, not reading. Somehow after 2022, I'm not a reader, but I'm a watcher. Yeah, I watch a lot of things. And there are great projects to tell the real history, yeah, how it happened according to the sources, according to everything that is documented, yeah, like
Yeah,
the real science
yeah, yeah,
should work. So, and somehow they managed to make Ukrainian history a Russian history. So, because of the similarity in the Kiev Rus and the word Russia, yeah, they try to say that everything that started in Kiev is actually Russia, but it's not. Yeah, if to go deeper in history, we're actually really, really different nations, because most of what became, yeah, the Moscow country or Moscow state, yeah, at those times, uh, those people came from Asia, not from Ukrainian lands. Yeah, yes, there were some, but mostly, yeah, they came from Asia. And their narrative, yeah, they want to be Europeans, they want to seem European, they want to have deep European history, so they just took ours. Yeah, and especially if to go through the whole history, we had and still have pretty long fight with them for our independence, culture, and everything. Yeah,
and
for this.
so how I'm going to ask just a couple more questions about contemporary things. Um, you'll have seen all the stuff from Trump and from Putin about holding elections. Yeah. Ha- What would you say in response to people who demand that Ukraine, in the middle of a war, suddenly somehow hold elections?
First of all, to hold elections, we need all the people to be able to, yeah, to have their voice be heard.
Yeah.
But how soldiers from the front line can be heard
Yeah.
if they're on the front line? How can we retrieve there from front line, not losing our independence?
Yeah.
That is a bigger even question. What is a ceasefire? Yeah, because we know that a ceasefire, we had them several times between 2014 and 2022.
Yeah.
We know how it ends. Yeah, there is no belief to the Russian side to ceasefire, actually. And moreover, people don't read history, they don't know. In Britain, as I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah,
No
during the
elections
second,
during wartime
yes.
because
So
we're under martial law, and you don't hold elections during martial law. Churchill
yeah,
himself said that, and that was backed by the Labour Party, and that was just generally understood in Britain that while there's a war on, you don't think about holding elections. You hold elections after the war.
the same here. We have the martial law.
Yeah,
We can't put it aside for a week or more, or even one day, actually. Yeah, for elections, because that means losing our independence, actually.
and I guess what's the best question to ask? How are you feeling about Trump and the impact he's having, and his promise to end the war tomorrow, or maybe the day after, or maybe next week, or maybe next month?
That sounds pretty populistic, actually. A lot of people
Yeah,
use school language connected to yeah, to describe what he does. Yeah, they say that he is too old to be actually a politician and to see clearly through the whole thing. So we don't know like what will happen, but we definitely know that we will fight for being a state, an independent state. And of course, some things that are offered, because we can't be sure that what he says is the real thing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, so some things are ridiculous.
yeah.
Like there is no sense in them.
And in terms of an end to the war, what kind of end to the war do you think would be acceptable for Ukrainians? What do you
The,
think the majority of Ukrainians would accept as a way of ending the war?
it's hard to talk for other
Yeah,
people, actually,
yeah.
because
Sorry to put that burden on you. Maybe let me change the question for you.
for me, I hope that the Ukraine will be the full state as it was declared in 1991. And the countries, they forget that they give
Yeah,
promises. Yeah.
yeah.
So now we know that different memorandums, like the one made in
Budapest
Budapest,
memorandum. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But again, the history repeats.
yeah,
The Munich, yeah,
yeah,
1938, yeah.
yeah,
They tried to please the
yeah,
dictator, and what happened?
yeah,
So now it's pretty close, yeah, to the same thing. So people not knowing history, they don't learn from the past mistakes. They try to make them again.
yeah.
And I hope that won't happen, and we will be back as we were.
And have you seen any difference in terms of the level of kind of aggression or violence being inflicted on Kharkiv over this year, say? Has it got better or got worse, or it just comes and goes in different waves, or?
I would say the last one, different waves, because they used ballistic rockets. Then they switched to drones. Then they switched to flying bombs. Then again to drones, but of other types. So they try to scare actually us, because mostly here are civilians, lots of children. Yesterday I was really shocked with the amount of teenagers in the mall, because that seemed like normal times, as like 500 children at the same time had a place to play
Yeah,
together.
yeah,
They
yeah,
have
yeah,
shelter at the underground parking. That's why, yeah, they come to this mall and they go to the underground. A small comment in here, why there are a lot of teenagers, but they also go underground.
and do you? How often do you hear or encounter drones yourself, like in your day-to-day life?
Um, okay, to be honest, today is not the most peaceful day in Kharkiv, at least from what I hear outside the window, because I live pretty close to the entrance to the city, which is the closest to the front line, yeah, which we have now on the north.
Yeah.
So my area, one of the most affected now, and actually there is a secret once, something like in December, maybe, yeah. I overslept the bomb hitting the building across the road.
You slept. You didn't wake up.
No.
You seem to be a very, very good sleeper, Tanya. Yeah.
I think that is the adaptation mechanism which our brain gains through the years, because a lot of people also now they sleep through the night attacks, attacks we call them, okay, and in the morning, okay, let's see what happened, yeah. So if it's not your house, you know what happened only in the morning.
Yeah. And just to wrap up, is there anything you'd like to share with people? Anything else, or any sort of feelings you have about the weeks and months to come? Anything you'd like to tell anyone watching out there?
I just want to ask people to just find the common sense of truth in everything you hear, because lots of information on the internet made to, I don't know what, to not tell the truth, yeah, actually, to believe that we are the party who is guilty, yeah, actually, of everything, and just know the history. That makes a lot of things easier to see through clearly. Like, you see the parallels, you understand, or at least you are able to understand where to see to find the problem. Yeah. Or maybe sometimes people say that it's, if you know history and something has happened for several times, you're able to see it even before happening. So
Yeah. So I guess I should finish by saying I think it's very important that we all try our best to live in truth and to be aware of the ways in which, the internet tries to manipulate us and tries to gaslight us. And just to thank you, Tanya, for giving up your time and for sharing your own experiences and for contributing towards people being able to understand the experiences of Ukrainians and what you've been living through. So thank you so much for giving up your time. Maybe I'll see you when I'm in Kharkiv next month. And until then,
I'm here.
hey,
At least if I'm not having any business trips, I'm
yeah.
here all the time.
So maybe I'll see you then. Yeah, grab a
Yeah.
coffee or something. And until then, Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава.
Take care, Tanya. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much
Hey,
for
thank you.
supporting
Thank you.
us. Thank you
Дуже
for
дякую.
it.